We'll see how everything starts off once she gets us ready to go here.
Chandra, how's your mom?
All right, we're good to go.
Okay.
Good.
Okay, it's 6:03 p.m. on July the 7th, 2020. This is a special call meeting of Westmoreland City Council. It's called by Council members Leaf and Brown. And the purpose of the meeting tonight is to review applications and initiate interviews for the police chief position that we have. The meeting tonight is being presented by Zoom, which is due to the pandemic uptick and is brought to you by Executive Order number 51. So we'll get the meeting started, and we have looks like 7 applications. The applicants are numbered A through H, and we will go through those, and then we'll come back and figure out who we want to push ahead. So you have kind of become old hat at doing this, as we have done it several times, but this is the first time via Zoom. So Doug, you've always kind of got the ball thrown to you with this, and we may defer this to you in just a moment, but I want to welcome Ray Alfantano, our former chief of police, who has helped us diligently on this, as Vice Mayor Carter, and also Deputy Nathan Driver. I don't guess Nathan was able to join us tonight. He may be signed in, and I just haven't seen him yet. So I'm going to turn it over to you guys, and you just decide how you want to do it and go through those. We'll see who we want to call for interviews and set up a date at the end of the meeting to do those interviews. So Doug and Frida, Tony, David, Chandra, it's turned over to you now.
You had said 7 applications. I have 8. Did you just miscount?
Yeah, it's 8.
Okay, okay.
8 through H.
Okay.
Well, Mr. Mayor, thank you for that. And I'm going to go ahead and get started because you are right. In the past, we have had a way to do this that seemed not flawless, but it did seem to do the job. And since myself and Councilman Leaf wanted to create tonight's meeting, I will go ahead and get started by talking about maybe a process. And if everyone's interested in that process, then we can move forward. If anyone have any suggestions otherwise, they can also jump in. So I'm going to suggest that in the past, I know that we listed the applicants. We reviewed them one at a time, and we simply put them into 2 categories once we reviewed them. One is yes, and the other one is no. And then I also will add that we did have a 3rd category, which is a maybe. So we may have that again tonight. Also want to let everyone know that the work that was already done by a smaller committee that began to narrow down the applicants from what we have currently in front of us is 8, started off with, I believe it was close to 50 something. Does anybody remember what that number was? Ray, do you remember what that number was we started with?
I think it was, it started off with 68.
68. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And so I want to thank you and the Vice Mayor and Mayor Kirkham and I believe I'm missing someone else that was in that committee to help us narrow.
Nathan Driver.
Thank you.
Deputy Nathan Driver.
So I want to thank all those individuals that helped us to narrow it down to 8. And so with that being said, also what that committee did wanted to let everybody know that they also listed these candidates with a alphabet. And they, so for the sake of tonight, we believe that we may not use actual names because those candidates, we don't want to, well, for the sake of confidentiality, by also being transparent, I believe that we can perform that duty. So I would also recommend that, because each of us has an applicant, or each of us has the applicants in a folder that was given to us, we have them listed again by a letter. And so with that being said, I'm going to recommend to this body tonight that we use that process when we refer to the applicant. If anyone doesn't wish to do that or disagrees with that, please speak up now. Again, that simply holds confidentiality for those individuals while we are being transparent at the same time. So with that being said, does anyone have any other suggestions or further actions that we want to take before we get started?
Sounds good to me, the way you stated it.
All right.
I will say this, Nathan Driver, he is watching, but he's watching it, but and I've asked him if he want in, but he hasn't answered me yet.
All right. Well, again, we want to thank Nathan Driver for his work and diligence in trying to help us narrow these candidates down. So, anyone else before we get started?
You're going to start with A, Doug, and just go right down the list that you're planning.
I don't see why not. I'm ready to go.
Okay.
If you guys are
Ready.
all right. So we'll look at candidate A. I'm going to do the best I can to kind of recap what this candidate has, some of the qualifications, and we'll go like that. And if anyone else wants to chime in, please do so.
Hey, Keisha, excuse me, Mr. Man, Doug. Keisha, can you invite Nathan in?
David, are you texting him?
Yes, he texted me.
Okay, I'm gonna text you the number and the password, and if you'll just send that to him, he should be able to access it that way.
Okay, thank you.
Doug, it might speed it up. We should have already done our reviews, so we might let each one just have their input of where maybe they're weak or they're strong. Just a thought.
I think that'll be fine. Again, if we would like to, we can place these 8 applicants into the 3 categories I spoke about earlier. And so if anyone does have a maybe, we can create that category as well. So looking at candidate A, just a couple of quick notes that I'll make, and then I'll open the floor for anyone else's response for candidate A. Candidate A has 5 years of supervisory experience, 7 years of law enforcement, does have the highest level of education is a bachelor's, and is something that's very important, is also already Tennessee Post certified. I know that is a big step, in my opinion, to be a candidate for our position, and has worked in several, in one police department, according to this applicant's application.
Doug,
Yes, right.
hello.
Yes.
If I may, I was kind of looking at some of the applications, and what I was looking at was the years and level of experience in supervision and also in investigations as well. Being the chief of police, you might be stuck with the task of having to investigate different crimes that come in to the department and also have to supervise an investigator as well. The things that I have seen with A, good applicant, but I don't see no investigative experience or certifications, and great education, but not too much years of supervision.
And his highest rank has been sergeant. He hadn't been a captain, hadn't been a chief or assistant chief. So I agree he's a good candidate, but probably some better ones.
Anyone else?
I was impressed that he received Officer of the Year 2 different times. So Ray, you don't think he has done much investigation?
Yes, ma'am. I don't see that he's done much investigation. I don't see no certifications in investigation or supervising any type of investigation. And like it says, one of the things too, he's a sergeant. I would like to see maybe more mid-level to high level of supervision.
So is that a no?
For me, it would be a no.
I say no.
Chandler, do you have anything, David?
I'm with them. No on that
I'm a
one.
no too, I think.
All right, so candidate A is in the no category. For going forward, we're looking at candidate B. Again, I'm just going to quickly give a recap of some things that stuck out to me. This candidate has 8 years supervisor experience, according to this candidate's application. 32 years of law enforcement. Highest level of education is a bachelor's degree and is Tennessee Post certified.
One of the thoughts I had on this one, I see he has his bachelor's degree is in law enforcement supervision and management, but I'm not, and maybe I'm missing it, but I'm not seeing it in his work experience where that's actually been applied. Am I missing that somewhere?
Unless he's calling that senior agent. That's the only thing, maybe, I don't know.
Ray is a corporal, a lower rank than a sergeant.
Yes, ma'am. Corporal starts usually as a patrol, then goes through corporal. So you're usually between patrol and a sergeant.
Okay. It does look like he's got some investigation experience.
I'm seeing over here on the one of his work experiences, he's got investigative and reporting crimes, and it says investigating, but it doesn't really specify what type of investigations he does.
This individual also has a lot of, if I may say this, a lot of county work experience, but I don't see a metropolitan. I'll take that back. Perhaps there is a one metropolitan experience.
What's your concerns there?
Say again?
What's your concerns there?
Well, I don't have any concerns with it, other than, is there, in your experience, Nathan, is there, would there be a difference in a candidate, the ability to perform the duties? Is there? do
I
you see
mean,
that?
at the sheriff's office, we are involved. Sorry about that. At the sheriff's office, we're involved with a more wide range of civil law and all kinds of other stuff to include everything that a city agency does. So, I mean, we deal with more wide variety of stuff than a normal city police department would. With that being said, in my experience, I worked part-time for Westmoreland for several years, and I found that style of policing was different from a sheriff's office to a police department, and it's kind of how you handle citizens and how you handle complaints and stuff like that. So there is a difference, I think, because let's be honest, the sheriff is an elected official where the police chief is an appointed person. So you kind of deal with people differently sometimes, but in the grand scheme of things, it's all policing. When we talked about the investigation part of it earlier, I think Ray would agree with me on this, is that a normal patrol officer does investigations. That don't necessarily mean he was assigned to be an investigator or something like that. So that's something else to consider too.
Yeah, and thank you for coming in there with that comment, because you and Ray have done a great job, and I appreciate both of you for narrowing our candidates down and also being a part of tonight's opportunity to continue this next phase. So thank you.
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
That title bothered me. The senior agent. That doesn't sound like he's interacting. He says networks with local law enforcement, but I'm just not sure how involved he is. And it's hard to, he says present. I don't know if he's been doing that since 2015 or whatever, but before that, he was just a deputy. Don't really have the management in his resume. So
anyone else?
Doug, if I may, again, looking at, he's got an extensive military service to him over there, so he's got leadership experience. I can tell that. He's only got one. He's worked with the county, and I'm just not seeing, like I said, a lot of investigative experience or supervision. But he definitely does got the years of experience. He's got the leadership skills.
Mm-hmm.
Me personally, I'd say give him a chance. See what he's got to say.
I'd like to put him in the maybe pile.
Yeah.
I want to come back after we've went through the rest of him. There's some potential here that I think we need to look at.
Okay, I got one for maybe, and I'm willing to also put him in that pile because I do think the potential's there, like Ray and Nathan has mentioned. So
I'm going to say a yes on him.
okay.
I'll go along with it maybe for now.
And maybe on me also.
Okay, maybe it is. All right. All right, moving along is candidate C. And candidate C, I don't have, there's a page that was on the first two applicants that broke down some of those initial points of view, and I don't see it for this candidate. So I'm going to have to search for it in the actual application. And you would think it would be off the top of my head, but it's not. So just looking at experience of years, and anyone else want to jump in and can help me find that.
I don't have one either, so he may have not attached one.
Okay.
That page was actually part of what I received through Indeed. So if they didn't apply through that, that page is not
Okay.
in their packet. So that's where that page came from.
Gotcha.
Ray, did you ever run across this gentleman during your time?
Yes,
'Cause
ma'am.
he was chief for 3 years at one time and 1.5 another time.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm not gonna mention the town because that will give it away.
I would, just speaking frankly, I would say no on the third person.
That little town has had issues. I don't know if he was directly a part of it or not, but I'd say no.
Mommy, sit down. It's time for catch go.
Anyone else want to say yay, nay, or maybe? To
No on my
say-
part.
Say that again.
No on my part.
What's your intake, Nathan? I'd like to hear your comment on this one.
I concur.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty resounding. That's on C, right? We're still on C, right?
Yes,
Correct.
uh-huh.
Yeah, I would say no.
Okay.
Good with that.
I'm good with no.
All right. All right, candidate C is a no. All right, moving on to candidate D. Again, this candidate, I don't believe went through the Indeed. So I don't have the quick facts to give you. However, this candidate for me is very experienced. And knows the job well, from what I can tell.
Definitely met the two requirements of experience and leadership experience, but he didn't meet the education experience. That was the only thing on there, the only requirement he didn't meet. But they met the other ones, and I thought he met them, well. So that was the only issue with putting him there, because he didn't meet the job requirement that was put out and given to us. So that'd be something to consider going forward. But I definitely think that he, would be worthy to go further.
Well, the way sorry to interrupt.
No, you're good. Go ahead.
If I read the job description correctly, we do state about the education experience, but there's an or there.
Yeah.
And I do think he gets that other side to it. So
Yep.
I'm with you on that.
I say yes.
I say yes.
This is Ray, I say yes.
Yes.
Yes on my part.
Yes.
All right, all yeses. All right, that's again candidate D. Moving on to candidate E. This candidate has, according to the application, 22 years of supervisor experience, 31 years of law enforcement, has a master's degree, and is Tennessee Post certified.
Which one was it again? I'm sorry.
E.
E.
Yes, sir.
know about the rest of you guys, but I had a hard time following his work history. It overlapped and somehow or other, he's showing that captain experience from August of 14, but yet, he's still showing work other places also. I think that's the one.
Ms. Frida, I'm with you on that. I was trying to read it myself, and it definitely needs to be wrote up a lot better, because I can't really make out exactly all where he worked, when he ended, and when he started.
I agree.
I guess he could work at multiple places at one time. I mean, I've done it, but I mean, I would agree it was kind of confusing.
Mhm.
But I think the states overlapped also, Nathan, here.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. It was still confusing.
Yeah. Yeah, because he lists an employer out of state and another state, 2018 to current, but yet he's got one in Tennessee
Currently.
So
Well, he is. I know he is at that place currently. I know that, but
you know this gentleman?
I mean, I don't know him. I just know he's there. So
Okay.
So I hear that we have an incomplete or inconsistent resume, from what I'm hearing. And I also noticed that too. I'm glad someone brought it up before I did.
I'm
I
gonna
say
say
no.
no.
I say no.
I'm gonna say no.
I'd say no.
no.
No,
No.
I am no as well. I believe that we are candidate F. And this individual, according to the application, has 3 years of supervisory experience, 5 years of law enforcement, associate degree, and is Tennessee
Yeah.
Post certified.
You're looking in the wrong spot, I believe.
That's
Doug.
not right. Yeah, that's not right.
look
Go
to
over
the
to
far,
the right.
far
Looking
right.
at-
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah. I was like, oh, I don't think that's right.
Okay, let me say that again. I did look at the wrong thing. Supervisory experience is 8 years. Law enforcement experience is 26 years. This individual does have an associate degree and is Tennessee Post certified. Apologize for that. So 26 years with 8 years of supervisory experience.
Doug, I've read over this here extensively, and can't say really enough about it. It would be yes for me. For an interview.
An absolutely yes from Nathan as well.
Yes, for me.
Me
I'm impressed
also.
with this, so yes.
I was very, very impressed with this gentleman's resume and application. And I've had a couple of outside people talk to me about this gentleman. They know him personally and said he was super, super good fellow and a good patrolman.
Agreed.
He comes highly recommended, if you'll notice that.
I agree with everybody. I believe this candidate is remarkable in many aspects, and I say yes. All right, everybody had a chance to weigh in on that one. Is that correct? I didn't miss. Okay. All right, we're down to candidate G. This individual, according to the application, has 8 years of supervisory experience with 23 years of law enforcement. has a bachelor's degree and again is Tennessee Post certified.
If I may, it looks like a very good candidate, a bright candidate, but I don't see don't see a lot of leadership experience. I don't see investigative experience or much supervisor experience.
I think looking at it, I'd like to know why he went from one agency to the agency he's at now. That'd be an important question for me.
That would be the same for me too. Same for Ray.
I agree with that.
I'm gonna say no on this one.
I'm going to say no.
I think mine's a no.
Ms. Frida?
No,
Okay. I also am a no. Our final 8th candidate is candidate H. I don't have a breakdown of this individual of the year's experience. I'm currently trying to put that together in my head right now. But there is a bachelor's degree and I do see about 5 years of supervisor experience, if I'm reading the application correctly or the resume correctly.
looks like he has been chief in 2 different cities.
Really more than that.
Yeah.
Looking at dates though, some of that's overlapping.
But what confuses me is the first thing on the resume. It says 2002 to present, and then you look down below. There's things going on in that same time frame. It's a little confusing to me.
Right.
Not only that, but the individual's jumped around quite a bit. If I have noticed that.
Yeah, that's bothering me. And with that, mine's gonna be a no on this one. Me.
Yeah, I'm a no.
On that 2002 to present, I think that what he's talking about there, to be fair with this candidate, I think that's something that he can do along with his other positions.
I agree with you, Frida. That's what that looks like. Yes.
Yes, uh-huh.
Like a consultant.
Yes,
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
But I'm
If
still
I-
bothered that some of the dates are overlapping of this chief of police.
If I may, on just some of the things that just a little uncovered stuff over there, I'm gonna go ahead and say no.
I say no.
No.
I'm a no.
I as well.
well, I'm not gonna be in there by myself. I'll say no also.
So that brings us back to candidate B. So far, we have 2 yeses.
Yeah.
Does anyone want to go ahead and make this candidate a yes so that we can have 3 interviews?
Doug, I'd say give him a chance for an interview. I'd say yes.
I agree.
I'm okay with that.
Yes.
Well, I'd
Yes.
said yes
Yes.
before.
Yeah, let's do a yes.
Okay, we came over your way, Frida.
Okay. Okay, what about the mayor? I haven't heard him say one word during all this.
He's incognito. I can't even recognize him here. So the next step is,
Frida, I'm listening.
If I may, I'll just recap really quickly for everybody and again, for transparency in this process. We had a committee, if I'll call it that narrowed it down to from I believe Ray said 68 candidates, and then they went through the process of narrowing that down to 8. And during this meeting, we just narrowed it down to 3 that we would like to interview. And so we are now in the process of deciding when that interview needs to be. I assume it will have to be more likely in a Zoom setting, which obviously is not the perfect setting, but it is the sign of the times that we need to proceed with it. And so I'm willing to hear anyone suggested on when we need to go ahead and create the opportunity for these individuals to be in front of us, answering questions and then narrowing it down.
I say as soon as possible.
what about next Tuesday?
I'm okay with that.
Does that give enough notice to the candidates though?
Next Tuesday, is that the 14th?
14.
Yeah. A week from today.
This is Ray. We're going to be over there, me and Nathan. I'll have to work on that day.
I'm available, but
What day are you off, Ray?
he'll be off Wednesday, Thursday next week.
Yeah, I'll be off Wednesday and Thursday.
Well, can't really do it on Thursday. We've got a council meeting.
I know in the past that I believe that we had an interview session occur right before a regular scheduled meeting, did we not?
We may have before.
With only 3 candidates, it wouldn't take long, I don't think, to interview the 3.
Well, we need to set aside 45 minutes, 30 minutes.
You're talking about for each one or all 3 of them together?
For each
No.
one.
Yeah, each one would need,
I'd say 30 minutes.
yeah, and if we overlap, they just have to wait till we can get to them.
So is that an option for Thursday, or is that a non-option for anybody?
I'm good.
It was Ray. I'm good.
Set the time, a special call meeting, and set the time at like 5 o'clock.
Yeah, plenty early. Mhm.
Yeah, we would have to do 5. That would give us 5:30, and then
5:36, 6 to 6.
6:30. Yeah.
And then we're going to vote. We'll have to vote. That's part of
Yeah.
what we do. We interview and then go ahead and make the decision.
You can put it on the agenda to do at the regular meeting.
Oh, do the vote at the regular meeting?
Yes.
Do that.
You could do it either way. It's just saying that's an option.
I say we set the time like 5 o'clock and go ahead and do the vote. We're going to have a called meeting anyway, and just stay in the called meeting. We're going to interview and vote. Get that out of the way.
I'm good with that.
Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah.
I would actually, I would propose this, that we do a Zoom meeting on the 16th again. We don't have a whole lot to do. We can postpone that property to be rezoned. I don't think that's a pushed issue. It happens a lot. Municipalities make that decision. So I prefer just to do everything on the 16th on Zoom.
Yes, me too.
I mean, this virus is still on the increase, and the county is serious about it. And I honor my leadership. That's what they want to do. So.
Okay, the special call meeting for interviews will begin at 5 o'clock. We'll let Keisha make some phone calls and see if there's a time that is better for the folks that are in a different time zone. So, you know, it's not that far off. It would just only be like 7 o'clock Eastern time. So or 6 o'clock if they were first.
Okay, and you said 30 minutes for each candidate or 45?
30.
I think 30 would be sufficient.
Keisha sent me some questions we'd used in the past. And if you want me to, I kind of took the 3 and put it into 1. If you want to see them, if you want to do your own questions, that's fine. That's up to you. But I don't mind emailing it to you, you know, so you can look them over.
I'd like to see some questions, yeah, to get an idea.
Yeah, you may have your own, but.
Keisha, you go ahead and make me one of the councilmen calling a special call meeting.
Yeah, put me on there with him.
Got it. And does anyone else want me to email y'all the documents with the questions from prior years? Or do you just want Tony's combined list?
There was a lot of duplication, so I went through and just plucked out. It's probably 12, 15 questions.
Okay.
You can email me one, Keisha.
Yeah, I'll take it too, Keisha.
Yeah, I'll take one.
Okay, so send everyone one.
Then Tony, are you gonna send us your combined one?
I will. There'll be information overload.
And do we want to use the same format like we did last time? Each of us have a question. We move down the panel and then cycle back through until we reach a certain amount of questions that we want to ask these candidates.
I think that would be good. You can lead us again. You're doing an excellent job.
I don't know about that, but thank you.
We want to list out our order because on our screens, everybody's in a different spot on everybody else's screen. So,
well, we may have to draw straws or something.
yeah.
I do want to thank Nathan and Ray for helping us through this process and for being excellent consultants during this task.
I would also like for them to be part of the interview process. I mean, they might know some questions to ask them that is very, very important to us, but yet we may overlook it.
And I'd like that also.
Would there be anything that would conflict with the way that we have our procedure and policies set up, inviting two consultants, Mr. Mayor? for this
Nothing I
process?
know of, no.
Okay. Just want to make sure. I know tonight was narrowing it down, but the interview was a little more delicate, and I didn't want to make sure. I want to make sure we didn't do anything wrong.
Okay.
But I-
The last time we used MTAS consultants and they provided questions, obviously they didn't come to the meeting where when the interviews were conducted, but they did provide input, and that is some of the questions that Tony has.
Right.
Then I look forward to them being a part of our process again. So I love that. Thank you.
Nathan, will you be able to make it that night?
Yes, sir, absolutely.
Okay, well, we appreciate it. And I heard Ray said that he could make it. So I will echo Councilman Brown's comments there, and thank you very much for the efforts that you put in. I know that it took a lot of time. It took a lot of time for me to go through the application. So everyone else may have been faster than me, but I read them really close and put a lot of effort into it. So and we had some really great choices. And for people that are listening and watching in, we had from the East Coast to the West Coast and from Michigan to Miami. So we had a large selection to choose from, and the candidates that have been narrowed down to are good candidates. And I think that we're going to have a good opportunity when we do the interview process of picking a good choice for Westmoreland's future. So just to recap, on Thursday, July the 16th, 2020, beginning at 5 p.m., we will have a special called Zoom meeting. Councilman Leaf and Councilman Bentel have called the special call meeting for the purpose of interviewing and hiring. I'll put in there possible hiring of a police chief. You never know, something may go wrong in interviews and you decide you want to put it off. So we'll put it that way. Is anything else that anyone wants to comment on?
Yeah, I propose that we just continue the Zoom meeting and postpone rezoning that property.
We should be able to do a public hearing on Zoom if we want to proceed with it. But if you want to put that off, we'd have to take that off the agenda for second reading or defer it.
Yeah, I've got some more questions on that rezoning that I need to talk to that lady at the state about.
Okay, very, very good. It's on there. So when it comes up, we'll just, it'll have to be, the motion have to be made to defer it.
Okay.
Okay, anything else? Okay, thank everyone for your time tonight. Ray and Nathan, especially taking time out from your nights off to be part of this. And you may not even be off tonight. You may just go in later tonight. So thank you again. And this special call meeting of Westmoreland City Council is hereby adjourned.
Thank you.
Ray.
Good night.
Thank you, Nathan.
Thank
Thank
you.
you very much.
See you
Good night,
guys.